Welcome to the August 4th, 2020 of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm stumbling, but not falling. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And the show must go on.
Yeah.
The show must go on.
Go.
I'm punch drunk on water.
Yeah, there we go.
Every Lotus Prince's favorite libation.
Yes,
and
libation. The last time I heard libation was when I student taught a bunch of 9th graders back in 2009, where it was like a vocab word.
Sure.
Pour one out for your homies. Like, that's literally what a libation is.
But anyway, we actually have some really interesting news this time around. It's not like earth-shattering stuff, but there's some really fun stuff in here this week, and I just wanted to go over it. I think the stuff up front, like for us, is just like same thing, different day kind of shit. But there's a lot of baw going on the internet from Sony fanboys because fanboys ruin of anything, really ruin everything. I gotta tell you right now, fanboys of anything, if you're a fanboy,
Sony fanboys have pissed me right off, but this first issue I feel is worth, not flipping out about, but I'll take complaining about.
I mean, you can complain about it, but are you really surprised? Honestly, are you really surprised?
I'm half and half on this one.
Okay. So, PS4, DualShock 3s will not be compatible with the PS5.
Except for to play PS4 games.
Correct. And people are complaining about it, and obviously, PS3 controllers were not compatible with PS4, except for the Move controllers.
Yeah, I mean, that I can kind of understand that, because there's the pad, but what's irritating is that a lot of the games really didn't make use of the pad in a way that would be unique to it. A lot of the times the pad was the start button, although in some cases the left side was one button and the right side was another button, but whatever,
I mean, it's basically a veiled attempt to sell more accessories.
That's exactly the problem.
And
that's
Sony
exactly
always
it.
do it.
Sony was saying, the new controller's going to have technological features that the other controllers don't, which
sure.
I do believe. But what I also believe is it's going to be bullshit
feedback
that you can easily turn off 6-axis support, yes or no. I think it's going to be like that.
Sure.
So what's also annoying is that if you want to trade in your PS4, they expect you to turn in the controller as well. So you can't just move your controller onto the PS5 and then sell your PS4. It's a nuisance.
It is, but I don't know.
PS1 controllers work on a PS2 as far as I know, and I've been using a PS2 controller on a PS1. I get that the PS4, the pad thing is a little different, but you don't need it for almost anything you play with. So what's the PS5 going to do that's so radically different? I mean, we'll have to find out, I guess. I might eat my words.
It's the haptic feedback is what they're blaming it on. But I mean,
buy another controller for $60,
I'm not surprised. I mean, we couldn't use any of the Wii U accessories, even the wireless ones on Switch. I mean,
also annoying. I mean, the Switch's controllers are at least radically different. I'll give them that.
Well,
those are completely
the Switch
different.
Pro is not all that different from the Wii.
That's
Pro
true.
Controller.
The Switch Pro and the Wii U Pro
but the Switch Pro
similar.
controller is much better form factor.
Okay.
They added the 3D rumble support, which is nice, not essential, but nice.
Yeah.
And they added the RFID sensor for amiibos.
That's actually significant.
So I mean, there is some stuff there, but I mean, could they have? I'm sure, but I don't know who owned a Wii U anyway, other than us.
I know, right?
But that it wasn't worth it. And you know what? When PS3 flipped over to 4, I mean, it was the same story. So I'm not surprised by any of this.
I'm not surprised,
neither am
but
I
it's
disappointed.
obnoxious.
I'm not disappointed either. And then Microsoft, like a champ, kind of just like what Sony did to them last generation.
Yeah, how
immediately
to
popped their head
games. Up. Yeah, how to play used games on the
borrow.
PS4?
How to lend your game to a friend.
Yeah,
You
like,
just
and he
hand it
just
to them.
hands it over. Yeah, so Xbox was like, oh, well, you know that debacle about the controllers? We don't have that. You want to use your old controller? Fucking use it. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
so
cool.
Microsoft confirmed that most major accessories for the Xbox One will work with the Series X. And that includes any expensive controller or anything like that.
Yeah, and if you
That
remember, their Elite stuff gets
Yeah,
expensive. You don't want to spend
it's like a
another
$200 controller.
$150, yeah, on a
Yeah,
controller. Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, it makes
yeah.
sense.
I'll give Sony this. Their controllers don't have like crazy Elite versions. It's still obnoxious to pay $60 for one though.
It is, but it's cool. Also, Microsoft's like Xbox One controllers are some of the best controllers ever made.
Yeah, they feel solid.
They're probably the best for. I would actually say they're probably the best controller for first-person shooters on the market. They're really good, and I use them for PC gaming
I was just gonna mention
primarily.
PC gaming. How different? Because I have a PC specific 360 controller, but how different is the one controller from the 360 controller?
The D-pad is miles better.
Oh, okay.
That's the
That
main
makes
thing.
sense. Yeah,
And I'm a big 2D gaming guy,
yeah,
so
that actually really matters.
the D-pad is one of the best D-pads ever made.
Okay.
It's really good. Even on the regular one, it's really good. And the buttons and form factor are exceptional, and the quality of the thumbsticks is probably the best ever.
Okay.
If you ask me, not saying the PS4 controller is not no slouch. In fact, all
Yeah, I've
three
been very happy with the PS4 controller.
actually all three major controllers are excellent, but they all have their benefits and detractions. Like I would say that the Switch has is laggier than the other two. The Xbox One controller has the best latency out of out of all of them. The PS4 is kind of the middle runner, but it also has that segmented D-pad that Sony's always had, which I've never been a fan of, especially for fighting games. So you basically you need to use some other controller if you're gonna play a fighting game, really, usually. But you shouldn't be using a four-button faced controller anyway for most fighting games, unless you're playing a Neo Geo game which only uses four buttons. But if you're gonna be playing a six-button game like Street Fighter, you should have a specialized controller. Or
I was gonna mention I find it really entertaining when you watch Evo and like one or two of the high level contestants is actually just playing with a regular gaming controller. It's like, oh
Yeah,
damn.
but they hold it way differently than a normal person
They
would.
do, but it's just amusing to see.
Yeah, I mean, like they've trained. It's whatever you've learned on that you're going to be best on, right?
Yeah,
So I mean, like there are pad players out there, but also the pad. Usually, you need to have like a really long cord on it because like nobody plays wirelessly.
Well,
No one
my
does.
favorite, by the way, is do you remember? This is a weird reference to make, but do you know who Seth Killian is?
Yes.
Do you
He was a huge Street Fighter 2 competitor back in the day, and
do
then
you
he
remember
became
how
like a
he
community manager for Capcom for the longest time.
do you remember how he played? Because Dive Kick made a nod to it.
Oh, did he probably have some kind of claw thing going on or
Yeah,
something? Yeah,
he like crossed his hands and used the stick with the right and
yeah,
the buttons with the left, and so
yeah.
like Dive Kick made fun of it by having the character Seth,
He's
who was
probably
like Street
left-handed.
Fighter 4 Seth, but he had the crossed hands. It was great.
Yeah, he's probably left-handed. That's probably why he did that. But
Yeah,
yeah, S Kill, right, in that game.
it might. Yeah, that might have been
His
it.
name is
Oh,
S
oh,
Kill.
yeah, that
Yeah,
that was the joke. Yeah, it was S Kill, but he looked like Street Fighter 4 Seth.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. I mean, whoever is in the like the losing position has to make some has to make some concessions in order to try to gain some leverage. So of course, Microsoft is trying not to piss people off or trying to get anybody on their side any way that they can. Another thing about that is they revealed that Halo Infinite's multiplayer will be free to play, which is
Oh,
really
I did
cool.
hear about Microsoft dabbling in free to play, which is just great because
Yeah,
multiplayer was always free to play, but then Xbox 360, charged for it, and Sony was free, which was super cool. But then after it had gotten normalized,
Well,
Sony went up to
I'm not
the
even getting to that. I'm just talking about the game itself.
no,
So
but even so though, like
yeah.
paying to go multiplayer has become normalized now. So if we go back the other way, now Sony's gonna be the one who looks bad for still doing it if they ever decide to go like, oh well, maybe we'll just follow the trend of having the crowd on our side. Like that'd be amazing.
Well, I mean, it's basically like a lot of multiplayer experiences are right now, where you don't even have to buy the game, is what I'm trying to say. It's free to play multiplayer. Like you could download the multiplayer functions of this new Halo game.
Oh, and
and
you'd have
play
to
them.
pay for the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's a clever idea.
So they're doing this as like a value added thing.
That's actually
like
pretty
everybody
amazing because
everybody has access to it.
Well, that's actually pretty amazing because while people generally are into Halo story, although I heard 4 and 5 were a step down, like the multiplayer is what really keeps people going. That'd be like
Yeah.
Call of Duty saying, "Well, we'll just give you the multiplayer free." Like that's like 90% of the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's where all of it is, and I would bet that they will be making that into like a service that continuously changes, kind of like Team Fortress 2
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and Counter Strike is for Valve. They'll add content and all kinds of accessories that you could buy, of course, but like they'll add content to that throughout the entire generation to get people at least coming to the platform every day to
Yeah.
check up on
But
it and
this is a
everything. And
bold
I think
move.
it's very smart.
Well, this is a bold move though, because even Team Fortress 2 was not free from the beginning. It's free now, but to just open with a new Halo game with the multiplayer free, like that is crazy. People are gonna flip over that.
Yeah, I think it's extremely smart. Now you were alluding to that. The other half of that is that there's a rumor going around that they will not require Xbox Live Gold for multiplayer functionality for Xbox Series X. That is a rumor, but I think it is a good one. It may be. It may be something that makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
because Microsoft is trying, first of all, to get its hooks in people. That's number one,
Yeah,
and
that'll do it.
number two, they realize that they are also a major publisher of games and services, of course, on PC. They run the PC environment, so that's the way it is on PC, and they are trying to close the gap as much as they can. Almost all of their exclusives are also on PC now, and even have concurrent releases. Even so they see the PC as an extension of the Xbox brand in terms of gaming.
And why not? Like
Yeah.
Microsoft, people's first thoughts, like I don't know what other people think about this, but like it takes me a second to remember that Xbox is Microsoft. Like I think of
Yeah.
Xbox PC, but when I hear Microsoft, I think Windows PC like
Yeah.
immediately, and it's like, oh yeah, Microsoft owns Halo. Like so, like it
Yeah, so
feels,
they don't care where you buy your games. They're getting a cut wherever, and
Yeah.
you're buying all kinds of services from Microsoft. Plenty of people use their yearly subscription service to Office stuff, and
Yeah.
to any a number of services that they provide that are really good. And I mean. I buy the old fogey version of Word and Excel, but plenty of other people pay the subscription fee for good reason. It's a great suite. It's one of the best suites you can buy, and it's reasonably priced. On top
I
of
think
that.
I think I'm still using like 2003.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's a good reason to have it. I mean, there's cloud storage and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
group work and all that other stuff that is a major convenience nowadays. So I, they provide. They're one of the better tech companies out there in terms of treating their customers right. They're not perfect. Obviously,
Yeah,
there's problems with them.
except for when they fuck up their Windows 10 launch as much as
Oh,
humanly
yeah.
possible, and they put
But-
Cortana named after a fucking creepy AI on your computer.
In terms of open use,
Yeah.
they are getting better and better with that, and also their platforms are reasonably priced or extremely accessible. One of the two.
If
So
only they could learn how to count to 10. I didn't know that NT and CE were part of the number system, but clearly I was mistaken. Arabic numerals, how have you failed me?
But actually, they can't count to 9. They can
That
count to
yeah,
10. We have
that's
Windows
true.
10.
That's actually true.
But anyway,
What comes after 7? Vista. What the what?
but yeah, I mean, obviously, what they're I should also mention that they aren't doing away with services entirely that you could pay for. They have had a wonderful reception to the people that take advantage of it, of their Game Pass service, which is basically just gives you. It's basically like Netflix for games. You can, as long as you're part of their service, you have access to all the games they've made available on it, and sometimes they make their top tier games available day one on that service.
Yeah,
And
I'd heard like Gears 5 and stuff. It's
yeah,
like
all the stuff you're looking for.
yeah, it's stuff you're looking for now. Because like I would expect. I think we talked about this off the podcast before, but I would expect services like that to offer something like, from a Sony perspective, like
It's
Uncharted.
like you get Uncharted 4 now.
Yeah, Uncharted 4. Brilliant
Now.
game, also probably worth $20 right now. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
you had your chance to buy it for like years. We'll give it to you, I guess. But yeah,
Yeah.
but Xbox is doing like the new stuff.
Yeah, stuff that's brand new that just came out that day will be on that service, and you have access to it as long as you're on that service. So uh, I think that's a really great service, unless you're one of the people that is strongly on ownership. But there are plenty of people out there that trade in their games when they're done with them.
Yeah, this would be like the
Lotus
best
and I are
possible
the
thing for
exception.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, Lotus and I are the exception, but
Play your game, you're done with it. Good.
there. I'm not naive enough to say that there are plenty of people that works perfectly for. So they also extend that to the PC. They have Game Pass on PC, and you can have them both. The Xbox One and PC version of it at the same time. And that's a wonderful service. I obviously game on every platform. I am involved in every platform, and I have to say that is the best online service being added. Being offered. So I think it's great. But you don't have to have it if you just want to play games and you want to own your games like the old-fashioned way. You can do that. So. I wouldn't be surprised if Steam did something along those lines eventually, but obviously they're a big partner. They have a big partnership with Valve because they keep people on their platform. So I'm sure they work with them all the time. Also, Gabe Newell was a major programmer for Microsoft before he moved on to Valve. So. There's some history there. He's the one who ported Doom to Windows 95 before it was just DOS. So there's like a reason why they're buddy. In fact, recently Gabe Newell said on an Australian talk show that they asked him what out of the two consoles which he prefers, and he's just like, the Xbox, and they were like, why? And he's like, it's obvious.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, that's what you have to glean from it. There have been people speculating about it, but it's obvious to me that Sony's probably given him the cold shoulder in recent years, because they see him as a major threat, which is reasonable. And he also works with Microsoft all the time. And his major platform is a Microsoft platform, so he has a stake in it, obviously. So, and he's also been working with them on the VR stuff, the mixed reality headset that's coming out from Microsoft pretty soon is going to be partially Valve designed. They, which makes me think that headset will probably be compatible with the new Xbox. Just a hunch. Anyway, moving on from that, there was a big Japanese fighting game publishers roundtable where every major fighting game publisher got together and they all worked together and shared like industry knowledge and that kind of thing, and were working together. It was put on by Bandai Namco, but all the major companies were in attendance, including Capcom Orica, who makes Fighting Layer EX, which is the spiritual successor to Street Fighter EX plus Alpha. Does that sound right?
That I would not know.
Well, that's where Skullomania comes from, I think.
Okay, fair enough. The best character.
Yeah. And what SNK was there, as well as Arc System Works. So that's all the major ones, right? While they're
Namco.
Oh well, they were the ones who were running it. So
okay,
yeah,
well,
Bandai Namco. Yeah. So there were a bunch of announcements while this happened. There's a new Guilty Gear game coming out. I can never keep track of the Blue Guilty Gear stuff because there's always a new one out.
But each looks more gorgeous than the last. Somehow.
Oh, I like the way they look. I just won't buy one because it will be devalued in a year.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Oh, you can get it for free now, but it's useless because it's not the one anybody's playing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And I don't know what's new about this one that's anything special because I bought Zerd and I really like Zerd, but then it quickly got replaced. They announced that Tekken 7 Season Pass is coming out in the new Season Pass 4 is coming out in the fall. They didn't announce anything.
I could only imagine who's gonna be the new guest appearance.
Yeah. Soul Calibur 6, they revealed a new DLC character named Satsuka. She fights with a Japanese umbrella parasol.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with this. She was in Soul Calibur
cool.
3. So yeah, she walks around with like a parasol, but the bottom of the handle, it's like a dagger coming out of a cane, except it's from an umbrella, and cool. She's pretty freaking slick with it.
Mm-hmm. And Samurai Shodown, SNK announced for Samurai Shodown that they were going to have a Season 3 pass. I am so happy for this game. This was the underdog game for sure when it was on its way out, and people really took to it and made it a success. And it's continuing to have good sales and good tournament play. It might just be like the best Samurai Shodown game at this point. It might have taken the crown from Samurai Shodown 2, but I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that'll combat me on that. But you can't live with the same old game. Something new has to come out to challenge it eventually. So, we can't play Melee forever. Come on. But at least you could say that Samurai Shodown 2 is on modern platforms.
Yeah, but, that's true. All the
But what they also Capcom announced that there will be Street Fighter 5 Season 5 by Wednesday this week. So tomorrow by everybody else's.
I'm also excited to see who the new or old
who
characters
are they gonna throw in there. Yeah. Will there be a guest character? Who knows? Will there be a character for maybe Mike Hagar will finally make it into a Street Fighter?
That's the thing. Like I'm not expecting guest characters like from like completely different franchises. Street Fighter doesn't really do that, but they've had surprises before with stuff like Abigail and things like that.
Yeah, I'm just happy for that. I mean, they have Abigail in there before Mike Hagar. I don't know why, but But maybe it'll be a new character. Maybe it'll be somebody that we haven't seen in a really long time.
Maybe it'll be Lucia from Final Fight 3.
I was gonna say maybe even some weirdo characters from 3 that we haven't seen in a long time.
I actually would kind of like to see Maki though. She's a badass, and she hasn't shown up since like Capcom versus SNK 2.
Yeah, and she's a popular fighter in that game. Like people like playing as her.
I think she has like an air throw for her super, which is like the most devastating move of the game because you can't pull it off.
And then I'll be excited to talk about that next week. That's for sure.
Oh,
and,
one thing I want to throw out real quick. This isn't actually news, but the head dev on Tekken had tweeted out because somebody was asking if they could ever get like Baki the Grappler as a guest character in Tekken, and he was like, I don't know, like does the West really know or care about Baki? Like you want to like throwing this out there, and it's like, oh my god, spread the word around. Like I don't think Baki
Who's
has.
Baki?
That there you go.
Well,
right?
You know who he is, so
yeah. Like, I was gonna say like I don't think Baki has the impact in the West that the fans might wish
I'm sure
that he did.
No, but
Baki the Grappler is, I think it's from the 90s, but it was one of those ultra-violent anime and manga that's
my favorite.
It's gotten something of a reboot recently, like a year or two
really?
ago.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a reboot, but or at least higher quality adaptation. And it is a brutal fighter. Like it's usually official fights, like in the ring, but like when you see people throwing around their power outside of the ring, like a guy just like punches somebody's fucking lower jaw off, like it gets nasty. Like it gets nasty, but it's like so over the top, it borders on comical because it's played like completely straight. It's bullshit like, I'm the most powerful fighter ever, and I'm looking for someone who could defeat me, and this guy's ready to be hanged for crimes or whatever, and they drop him on a noose, and he's hanging for like 5 to 7 minutes, and then they release him, and he's like, that wasn't long enough to take me down. It's like bullshit like that. It just gets over the top to the point of being kind of funny, even though it's like, brutal to watch.
Yeah. Well, and then there was one more announcement. This is like probably the least exciting of all, but also like still a really good thing is that Fighting Elex Layer, which is Arika's game, that's the one with Skullomania in it that I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
It is very much an underdog fighting game, but it is very well respected and people like it. They said that they're going to do a rollback netcode, so that they have like the best netcode available, basically, for fighting games. So that's really, really good stuff.
I mean, if there's any kind of game that demands the best netcode, it's probably going to be fighting games.
Yeah, exactly. Fighting games and real-time strategy games and first-person shooters. I mean, all three of them, really.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
But anyway, but especially fighting games, just because it's like nanoseconds.
The strategy guides literally have like frame data on the characters.
Yeah, too crazy for me. I could never be a high level player of anything really. Now, there is a new Nintendo leak going around, like this is not substantiated. It's not like the same kind of leak that we've been talking about the last couple weeks, but this is about like it's a news leak. It's not like a data leak, but there's a like supposedly a substantiated, credible rumor leak going around about Nintendo news, which includes a new Mother Earthbound remake game. Whenever a leak comes out, this gets mentioned.
Yeah. When are they gonna finish Earthbound 64? There's actual like screenshots for that. Make Earthbound 64, you guys.
Earthbound 3 was Earthbound 64. It's just the way it was. They converted it into a GBA game, and you got a chance to play it. Don't worry.
But I want to see bad 3D graphics.
I am convinced that every time that one of these leakers wants to put out any bit of news, they put this in there in order to get traction. Read it, yeah, exactly. I don't believe it is true, but you never know. Supposedly a new Skylanders platform experience or whatever is going to be launched. This is all with scant details, and also, grain of salt, please.
Is Skylanders even still a thing?
Exactly, it isn't. There's going to be a new Metroidvania game from Nintendo that isn't Metroid or Castlevania. Apparently it had started in development as like the working title was Metroidvania. I do not believe this for a second, because for Nintendo to acknowledge
a first-party Metroidvania game, really
acknowledge that a connection between Metroid and Castlevania.
Yeah, and Konami.
Yeah, they would just take credit for it as a Metroid title, if anything.
Yeah, like a Metroid-like or something.
Yeah, exactly. I would not put any credence in. Maybe they have a Metroidvania game in the works, but I would never.
Yeah, they wouldn't call it that.
They wouldn't call it that even under wraps.
Like, you know what that reminds me of? Like this joke webcomic where the CEO of Bing was asking for some information and somebody didn't know, and he was like, "Well, just Google it. Bing it. Damn it!" Like Nintendo's not gonna slip and say Metroidvania.
Exactly. This one I do believe N64 games will be re-released. I mean, that's a given.
That'd be
I
great.
think eventually the Switch will have a GBA, at least a GBA and an N64 channel.
And bring back the DS. Like, come on.
That is a hopeful, but I am not.
I mean, what kills me is that it's been done. Just like do it again.
Yeah, that's true, and we do have a couple successful ports of DS games to Switch already. Even if they are.
Oh yeah, World Ends With You.
Well, I was actually more pointing towards the Mega Man ZX games.
That's true, and also
that was a very good, successful conversion.
And also, this is 3DS, but like that Layton's Mystery Journey, like with his daughter.
Oh, that was more like, they remade it for the Switch, though.
Fair enough,
kind of thing. But the Mega Man ZX is like a port and a remaster. So
yeah, that's considerable.
That was the way that they should have gone with it. But anyway, I believe at least the N64 and the GBA, if anything, will have their own Switch service that you'll get along with their $20 a year service, which is a bargain, honestly. And anyway, a new Dragon Quest game. We already kind of got teased with one of those. I'm wondering whether that's like the action game that they have. And new Undertale related game. Maybe Deltarune Chapter 2.
Yeah, that was my initial guess, but who knows?
Take these with a grain of frickin' salt, please. Toby Fox is buddy with Nintendo though, so that wouldn't surprise me if they tapped him for a
he
specific
played
Nintendo
Smash
game.
with Sakurai. Like, that's bananas.
I mean, his music is in Smash. And
yeah, well, that's how I know. Like, I think Sakurai had said like he played Toby Fox in Smash, and the win-loss ratio was about like 50-50. It's like, that's fucking incredible.
The guy who made it.
Yeah, I know, exactly. This is the guy who, like, very casually during one of the Nintendo Directs was like, well, here's how you would do it with, like, 2-player, and he's just casually playing with 2 controllers at the same time. It's like, oh, God.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I mentioned this. I think we might have glossed over it. They also said that there's a new Metroid game coming, but we've known that. I mean, come on.
So
there's always a new Metroid game coming, and that never comes out.
Yeah, not just the new Metroidvania, but an actual new Metroid, yeah.
Yeah, but Metroid Prime 4 has been in the works forever. So, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, half of this sounds reasonable
like
from
wishful thinking.
Well, half of it's wishful thinking, and the other half is like, well, duh. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I know this. Like I could have just told you this, and it would have sounded credible. And it doesn't take a genius to realize some of these things. The Earthbound thing, I very much doubt, because like the guy who makes it, Itoi, does it when he feels like it, and so. And he has basically ownership over the series. Wouldn't be the same without him. I very much doubt it, unless it's like a package, which I still doubt.
I don't
think
see
Mother
that
3
happening.
will ever come out officially.
Although that does remind me, though, I probably should just go ahead and download Mother Zero on Wii U.
Oh well, that's a given. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. If anything, just to see the history of it all. This was a freaking surprise and a half. New Battletoads game announced by Microsoft.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. The last Battletoads anything has been like unless you count the fact that one of them cameoed in Killer Instinct, and even that was a while back. Like, when was the last one? Like, the Super
Battletoads
Nintendo?
and Battle Maniacs for SNES, or the arcade game. It's one of the two.
Yeah, the arcade game, which was finally released on Rare Replay, so you can kind of call that a
Battletoads
Xbox
cameoed
One
in Shovel Knight as well.
Yeah, they cameoed, but an actual Battletoads game. Like, we got a retail release of the arcade on the Xbox One in Rare Replay, but when was the last Battletoads game made? Probably the 90s.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's just like Streets of Rage 4. Like, when you turn the game on, it's like, 14 years later, something like that.
Yeah, I think Battletoads and Battle Maniacs was the last one, but
okay.
I would. This looks really good. And not only that, but it looks like they're making it to be challenging, but also beatable. So
you don't have to worry
good.
about kids renting games and returning them over the weekend. There's no more like petty like fuck the customers for daring to rent the game.
Yeah, and it looks like they're also being mindful that like one of the things that's attractive about the franchise is that every level is something different. So
that's true. Yeah, the game's levels were mostly like widely different.
Yeah, they just kind of like Earthworm Jim was like that. Like every level had like a different gameplay.
Or like Mischief Makers, like a lot of the treasure games. Although one thing I will hope for in the new Battletoads is the most important thing, actually, which is the pause music. That's all you need. It sounds like
they have that on vinyl,
but just listen to it. It's great.
You can get that on vinyl. But
nice.
I am really amped up for it. They announced it for Xbox One and PC, and that also means that Series X will have it on there because it's backwards compatible with Xbox One. So, and this will be coming out the 20th. Jeez, like in a couple weeks now. So,
it's coming right up.
I am super excited for this. I mean, I've always been a big Battletoads fan ever since I was a kid, so... and I like them all to some degree. I actually really like... Probably my favorite one is Battletoads and Double Dragon for the NES. Yeah, the NES version is tight.
You are pretty brutal to some of the enemies in that game.
But the... I don't like the Genesis or SNES version nearly as much. The NES version is way better, believe it or not. But it's the way it controls and the balance of it. And also, the graphics of the NES one push the NES way harder than their other respective versions.
Yeah, so. I normally don't really care about NES graphics compared to Genesis or Super Nintendo, but this game does look very good.
It has some like 3D effect to it that like to some of the floors that is just wild looking. I really like it, but yeah, the new one looks like a lot of fun. It has like a comic booky style to it. It looks nice, like a cel shaded kind of thing, but 2D graphics for sure. And I'm definitely looking forward to it. Also, it's kind of funny that you just did or delved into this one a little while ago, but Frog Fractions finally hit PC as like a remastered HD version,
which is very good because the old one's on Flash.
Yeah, we were gonna lose it in December for most modern browsers. So it was Frog Fractions was a Flash game and quite possibly the best Flash game ever made. It is to just call it a Flash game is insulting.
Yeah, there's like the original Binding of Isaac and Frog Fractions.
Well, there's some good stuff on Newgrounds,
like
Alien Hominid and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Alien Hominid is legit. Yeah.
But Frog Fractions is legitimately one of the best games I've ever played.
That is laugh out loud funny. Yeah.
It's really funny, and the way that Frog Fractions 2 was released, look it up. It's one of the funniest sagas in video game history.
The meta is absurd.
But yeah, it was released as Frog Fractions Game of the Year Edition. The game looks and introduces itself as an edutainment title, but it is anything but.
Yeah,
I won't even ruin...
You suck up enemies, and then fractions appear, but they don't mean anything. It's just like a quarter. And if you get like some sort of upgrade to make you smarter, you start getting like scientific notation. It's like 2.3 times 10 to the 13th. You're like, what?
Just stick with it. It is.
Do it.
It goes in directions that you could only ever dream. Like,
yeah.
Speaking of genre changes, it goes all over the place. So, you can get this for free even on Steam right now as Frog Fractions Game of the Decade Edition. That's very
not even wrong. Spider-Man PS4 Frog Fractions.
You could buy. So I'm going to read the about. The classic web game Reborn. Enjoy this remaster in its glorious 4K resolution.
4K?
This game does not need it. In Frog Fractions, the player controls a frog sitting on a lily pad. The frog must use its tongue to attack oncoming insects and protect its fruit, in the vein of Missile Command.
That's actually true. Well, I mean, your fruit's not in danger. You're just like you can't
You have to
lose.
Between waves of bug attacks, the player can purchase upgrades such as lock-on targeting, a cybernetic brain, and a flying dragon. All true.
Yeah, that is completely true.
But be sure to buy every upgrade. It's worth it.
You should. You should also pay for the upgrade to remove one of your upgrades, and then pay to put it back on, and then pay to remove it. Like I'm not kidding. Yeah.
Constantly back and forth.
Yeah.
And it says purchase the hat DLC for the ultimate experience, and you can eat bugs while wearing a hat.
Oh my god.
This is a real thing. There is a $10 DLC purchase that you can make. It's on sale for $8 on Steam right now if you're in the US. Experience a day in the life of a frog who is wearing a hat. This DLC hat provides you with the flair you need to face down the bugs with styles and impress the audience while you're at it. And he has a little knit cap on. It's hilarious.
Nice.
But it says more mature content description. The developers describe the content like this: mild sexual references. It's a tiny knit cap on a cartoon frog.
Oh, it's for the DLC cap? Because I was
Yes.
gonna say, like, you could argue there are mild sexual references in the real game.
No, they
like in the stupidest way possible. It's not like not safe for work.
They're
but
referring
they
to how the knit cap makes you look sexy.
Oh, come on.
Now, Kotaku put out an article about this DLC, and they said Frog Fraction's new $8 hat DLC content is a lot more than just a hat. So, I wouldn't put it past Twinbeard to put out a DLC that just was a hat and that you paid $10 for.
Yeah, I can see them making fun of the fact that they're releasing a hat. But yeah, if it really is more than just a hat, then no spoilers. I gotta see this.
Okay. Yeah. So, let's just say that it's actual DLC as part of the game.
I did not expect this.
Yes, it does something to the game.
That's crazy.
So moving on from that, we're super excited. We're huge fans and have been huge fans of this game. I think I showed it to you when I found out about it. And
What,
then,
Frog Fractions?
Yeah, I think.
Oh yeah.
This was something I learned about from Giant Bomb back in the day.
Okay.
But yeah, after that, please do buy Glitter Mitten Grove, which is secretly Frog Fractions 2.
Yes.
Or actually, it's secretly Frog Fractions 3.
Yeah, they're never going to make Frog Fractions 2.
They said they had canceled Frog Fractions 2, and they meant it. And then they released Frog Fractions 3 the next day.
That's so good.
Hilarious. Once again, look up the saga of Frog Fractions 2. It is one of the wildest, like alternate reality
hype machines,
marketing,
yeah.
but like only to basically troll people, not to actually make money. They could have made a lot more money by not doing what they did. And by actually releasing their game with a real name rather than just Glitter Mitten Grove. Which is the only way you can find it. But yeah, that's how good these guys are. They are so on the joke that it even works against them.
Yep.
I've been talking about this for a long time, but the developers of Tulip and Rule of Rose are finally releasing their Moon RPG remix game in English. It was a cult favorite of Japan's on the PS1 back in the day, but it'll be finally be released in English on the Switch on August 27th. I am super excited about this. This is also by the same developers as Dandy Dungeon and was it Blackbird? That fantasy zone looking game.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Blackbird, which is a really good game. Blackbird is actually really good. It's highly acclaimed and sold really well for them, so they're they're called Onion Games now, but this is from developers of all of those games that we previously talked about. So like off the wall kind of stuff, but apparently Moon is one of the a game that influenced a lot of developers from Japan because it was so avant-garde and flipped things on its head. So I'm super excited to be able to play this finally and have access to it. Also, there was a leak for rating system in Taiwan that said the original No More Heroes got rated for Switch.
Yeah, that's pretty
Which
cool.
I 100% believe, but also I'm super happy that if this is genuine, because I absolutely love everything that Suda51 everything that he does. I'll at least buy, but I'm always hyped for it. But the No More Heroes games are the top of the heap. They're the best stuff he made. So I can't wait to have it liberated from the Wii. I don't know about you, but
yeah, I mean, it also got a PS3 release, but
no, this is his time to make a proper
yeah.
off Wii version, because if I'm gonna go back and play No More Heroes, I'm not gonna be playing the PS3 version. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
The
PS3 is more of an amusing novelty.
Yeah, I'll play the Wii one, and then I'll play the extra content for the PS3 later. But you can use those Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
I'm sure to charge up that beam saber. But
always be charging.
I can't wait to show my fiance, because I played that game way before me and my fiance ever met. So she's just gonna be walking in on me.
I was so hyped for this game. I saw the trailers in 2006. I was flipping out.
And you were not disappointed.
I was not disappointed. I played it in college.
Great. Yeah,
my roommates were like, "What?"
2 is still fucking great too.
It is.
But moving on from that, I just had to put this out there, because this is something I've been hoping for a while. But Arcade Archives just put out Burgertime, which
that's pretty great.
There have been sequels and remakes and party versions of Burgertime on the Switch, but never the original game in its original form, and it's finally on there. So I'm super excited about that. It's Data East's most well-known game, and also an arcade classic that almost everybody has heard of. So it's up there with Q*bert and Pac-Man and all those. It's not on the same level as Pac-Man, obviously.
Yeah, but, nothing is.
It's up there with Q*bert, at least, as one of the prominent titles in that era. Certainly where Data East made all of their money before they shoved Karnov into everything.
Yeah.
And then died.
It's like Dopefish, except that when people see Karnov, they just kind of raise an eyebrow.
It's like, really? You really want to put this fat guy in everything, huh?
Karnov versus.
He's sometimes a good guy, sometimes a bad guy, mostly a bad guy.
Yeah, whatever.
They so much don't give a shit about their own mascot that they make him into a bad guy most of the time.
Yeah, even though there's a game called Karnov where you just play as him.
Yeah, no, he's the good guy in that, but he's a bad guy in almost every other instance.
Yeah, well, it's like a Bobo's Big Adventure. It's like this time you play as him, I guess. Every other time you meet him, he's just like some level 1 boss. He's
Fighter's History 2 is Karnov's Revenge, where he's like the final boss. He is a bad guy in Trio the Punch. And he is also the ancestor of Chelnov. So
whatever.
From Atomic Runner. He's in a whole bunch of other stuff too. So anyway. But Burgertime is awesome. If you've never played it, it's kind of similar to the first level of Donkey Kong, if you can imagine that. Similar conceptually.
I almost see it as similar to the last level of Donkey Kong, where you got to run across the things to activate them.
Yeah, I would say that. But along those lines, it's a single screen game where you have pieces. You're a chef, and you have giant burger pieces lining all these steps and platforms, and you have to knock down the layers of burger in order to complete a hamburger. But there are all these enemies chasing you that include a sausage and a floppy fried egg.
Aren't all the names in that game goofy? What's your name in that game? Oh, they're goofy as shit.
Peter Pepper is the main character's
you're Peter
name.
Pepper, and then the hot dog that chases you is Mr. Hot Dog. It's stuff like that. It's a ride. Yeah. It's something it's a placeholder name that ended up making the final cut.
Yeah, and just like in Donkey Kong, you are extremely vulnerable to everything, probably even more so than Mario ever was.
Yeah, you get touched, you die.
You get touched, you die. You don't have a jump button.
That's right, you don't. It's ladders only.
You have 2 limited use, stun items, which are in the form of a pepper shaker, because you're Peter Pepper. But they're usable. You can only have 2 per level. So like if you're trying to get away from an enemy,
Yeah, that's right.
you have to avoid them, like in Pac-Man.
Yeah, you have the little, like the one-time use, like absolute emergency, like get away from me or else I'm in a dead end and I'll die. Like, so you're supposed to really hold on to those.
So this makes Burgertime extremely challenging. I can hardly ever get past the 2nd level. It's that hard.
Those games are tough. Those games are real.
It's really hard.
Even if you're good at the game, like good luck making it 2 or even past the 3rd level. Like it's not some kiddie party game. It looks like one, but it isn't.
It's a lot of fun though, and it's very rewarding
when
once you find out how to play it well. Because it takes a lot of strategy.
It really does.
Fake out. Because you could smash the enemies in between the burger pieces. That's like the one way you can kill them.
Yeah, and they
respawn
efficiency.
Immediately.
Well, and also for real, and also for efficiency, if you take care of the top of the burger first, it'll fall down a level and hit the next layer of the burger, which itself falls down a level. So you can kind of get combo action going on, or at least make things a little more efficient if you can get away with it.
Yeah, and you can rack up points that way too by lining up a lot of enemies in a row and that kind of thing.
It's almost like Dig Dug in that regard. Like carefully time when you drop the boulder, and maybe you can hit 2 enemies.
It's certainly one of those really good games back when they really thought about like the system and what you would need to do in order to play a good game of it. It's an excellent game, but also very, very hard. And thankfully, if you own it, you don't have to pump quarters in it to learn it. You can just play as much as you like. So, it comes with a caravan mode, like most Arcade Archives games do. So, I just wanted to throw this out there because, like Super Burgertime, which is one of its obscure sequels, has had a port on Switch since the year the Switch was released. Like there have been Burgertime party games and all that kind of stuff on the service, but never the original game, which is what most people would be looking forward to. So I'm glad that it's on there. Also, Heavy Burger. You ever hear about Heavy Burger?
No, just Heavy Barrel.
Data East licensed out like their entire catalog to be made into a party game where every single one of their games was matched up. So
is that the one where you're fighting your way through arcade games?
Yeah, like all the Data East
I have
games.
seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy and it's a lot of fun.
But
it has like every Data East game you can imagine.
Yeah, it's a big love letter to Data East. Yeah.
Yeah, like Karate Champ, the whole bit. So let me see here. Moving on from that, this is just a quick thing. Phantasy Star Online 2 is on Steam now, making it very accessible, of course. I think it was only on Epic for a while. And this is a weird thing. Double Dragon 4, out of fucking nowhere, like 2 years after it was released, gets online multiplayer.
Yeah, that seems like sort of low-hanging fruit. I'm surprised I didn't have that from the beginning.
If you played Double Dragon 4, you'd probably understand why it wasn't included. It is the most budget-ass game ever made.
I do remember you said it wasn't very good.
I am a Double Dragon apologist. It is not great. Even amongst, like, I might even want to play Double Dragon 3 on the NES more, and that's saying a lot. Double Dragon 3 is not a good game. It's awful, in fact. But Double Dragon 4 doesn't have any soul. That's part of the problem. If you're going to play a modern Double Dragon game, play Neon. It is probably the best game in the series.
Neon is gold.
I'm just gonna say it. If you're gonna play a Double Dragon game, play Double Dragon Advance on the GBA. It's fantastic. It's the best version of the original Double Dragon you could play. Double Dragon 4 is not worth it, even for a Double Dragon fan. I'm sad to say. I'd rather play the Super Nintendo game any day. And certainly Double Dragon 2. I love Double Dragon 2. So just stay away. And also Cuphead made its way onto the PS4. This was big news to some people, but not surprising at all to me. But there was a bunch of like fanboy bawling about it because like it was like look at Microsoft, look what Microsoft did. Do you
It's already
motherfuckers
been on
realize?
PC and then it went on Switch. Like whatever.
Not only that, but Minecraft has been on the PS4 for years.
Yep.
Like that is a Microsoft property. like, like this is no Microsoft is okay with putting things in the right place. Like they don't care. As long as they sell games, they don't mind. They paid a lot of money for this game, and all the it's been out for a long time. So why not put it out where they can get a little bit more money? It's basically on every platform now, right?
I think so. Yeah, like Xbox, Switch,
PC certainly.
PC, PS4. Yeah, like what do you want? There we
It,
go.
it's on-
It's
it's
on
even
Steam and GOG as well.
it's even in Teslas. I think you could play it on the Tesla,
Wow.
like in the dashboard.
Have fun with that.
Yeah.
That's the most concentrating, that's the most what is it? Concentration inducing game.
But yeah, it's no surprise to me, and like to anybody who is reacting strongly to this, I don't understand you. Um, moving on from that, this is just a cool thing. Samurai Shodown Neo Geo Collection. The one that had like the brand new found. Well,
Yeah,
it's not brand new,
the
but the
perfect
found.
version of 5. Yeah.
Yeah, the perfect version of 5 is coming to PS4 finally, and they also revealed that PS4 owners will get a free copy of Samurai Shodown 6, which is not included normally.
Yeah, and it sounds like it should be. It's Samurai Showdown 6, but
Well,
as
there's a
you've
reason
covered
for it.
before, that wasn't a Neo Geo game.
Yeah, it was an Atomis Wave game, so it is emulated on from a different arcade board. But this is the Neo Geo collection. So this is literally all of the 2D Samurai Showdowns, basically, except for the Game Boy games and Neo Geo
Yeah.
Color games. All of the 2D ones will be on PS4, which is really neat. The 3D ones were never really that great, and the newest one is really good. But this is great. I'm really, really happy for this. And 6 is a great game, too, so it fits right in with the perfect version of 5 and 4 and 2 as some of the best in the series. This is just a quick thing. So Metal Gear Solid 5
I heard about this. Yeah.
had its online cinematic finally triggered for real in the real world. So this game has an online component where you can raid each other's like mother bases and get new equipment, new guys to your base and all that kind of stuff, and steal stuff from other people's bases. But one of the tenets of the game is the Cold War, and the thing that Big Boss did was he nuclearized a non-sovereign nation, so he could have legitimacy as a mercenary band. And they through data mining they found out that there would be a secret cinematic played in the game if everybody got rid of their nukes. Like there would be a good ending. Everybody just denuclearized.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Or enough warheads got stolen and dismantled.
Yeah.
So this finally happened on the PS3 this week organically. So I think the cinematic was triggered on the Xbox 360 by accident. Like it was like a bug. Like there were still nukes left. But like the online community banded together to trigger it, like for real on the PS3, which is really, really neat. It's one of those like accomplishments. Like you have to visit every single like abandoned base that nobody's played in years to raid it and dismantle those bombs and all
That's
that kind
brutal.
of stuff. And also all agree to it. The people that are active in the community have to are basically all going to have to agree to not have nukes. So it's just like in real life, like who's going to do that? So it it's really cool that they were able to do that. It's like one of those accomplishments, like Nobi Boy finally getting to girl. I don't know if you ever looked that up, but
Nah.
so there was a PS3 game that was more like a kind of like a fun experience. It was like basically like a toy box made by the Katamari Damacy guy. He made this game where you were this boy, this worm boy that like stretched, and you controlled it with the 2 sticks on PS3. And what you would do is you would wrap yourself around things and split and all this other stuff around all kinds of objects on the screen in different levels and stuff. And like the longer and longer you got in that game, it would add to this character named Girl who would fly through space and go to various planets. And she was supposed to make it to Pluto, I think, after theoretical number of years, and like people never thought it would happen because Pluto's really fucking far from the sun, and it actually happened one day. So, so the game actually met its logical conclusion. Like it was something that everybody added to over time, like in the multiplayer, essentially. It's hard to explain, but there are videos on it and stuff.
Sure.
But I just thought it was cool that Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm sure the creator, sure Hideo Kojima was jazzed about it because who would ever think that somebody would band together, enough people would band together to make this kind of thing happen. Also wanted to make a mention of the Ask Iwata book being translated and published by Dark Horse Comics. So this is, of course, a book that had content from Satoru Iwata, the former and late CEO of Nintendo, probably the most missed, certainly CEO of the entire company, the company's history. So apparently, he was one of those people that everybody just loved. He was like everybody's dad. So everybody misses him. So they have it's a motivational collection where he addresses diverse top subjects such as like corporate stuff like that can help you in the workplace, locating bottlenecks, how success breeds resistance to change, why programmers should never say no, and basically just like all kinds of like translated speeches from him and interviews and kind of stuff. So it's a cool thing that they are no, it's Viz Media, I'm sorry, not Dark Horse, but Viz Media is putting this out, and I think that's a really cool thing to bring to the United States, because certainly we don't get this kind of thing very often about somebody who isn't in America or an English speaker. So it's really cool stuff. And moving on from that, there was another book news, according to you.
Yeah, this is something weird. Somebody discovered this. The author, John Boyne, he's the guy who wrote The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. So he writes like historical fiction, but it's like...
Does that have to do with the Holocaust?
Yeah, like super serious business. So he wrote a new book called The Traveler at the Gates of Wisdom. And
I heard about this. I'm sorry.
You did hear about
this?
Triggered
a...
So yeah, I was going to say, so somebody posted an excerpt from the book on Reddit, and that was later posted on Twitter, because you can get a picture on Twitter. So there was a particular passage that was about someone was making a dress and they were using dyes. How do you make the dye? So I want somebody to stop me when they hear an ingredient that doesn't quite gel with the rest of them. Now I'm going to read this word for word, okay? The dyes that I used in my dressmaking were composed from various ingredients, depending on the color required, but almost all required nightshade, sapphire, keyswing, the leaves of the silent princess plan. What? What's so funny? What's so funny?
Oh, nothing. Please go on.
Okay, allow me to continue. The leaves of the silent princess plant, Octorok eyeball, swift violet, thistle, and hightail lizard. In addition, for the red I had used for Abrilla's dress, I employed spicy pepper, the tale of the red Lysalphos, and 4 Hylian shrooms. Despite the abundance of component parts, the resultant mixture was as inoffensive to the pen is covering it, to the something, as it was damaging to the body. So yeah, for those of you,
I have no idea what you're talking about, Lotus. You're gonna have to point me in the right direction here.
Well, okay, so you've probably heard of shrooms as a shortened form of the word mushroom, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah,
but there's the location Hylia is the
Does
part
that have
that
something
some people
to do with Mario shrooms? You know?
No, you're in the ballpark. Some people may not be aware of this, but Hylia is not real. It is from the legend of.
You mean?
It's from the Legend of Zelda.
Hyrule, you mean?
Yeah, Hyrule. Yeah, Hylian, Hyrule. It's from the Legend of Zelda, along with the red Lysalphos. It's like a lizard enemy. Keese are what
Bats.
Zelda's games refer to as bats. Yeah. So, fucking whoops. So this guy must have literally Googled, like what do I need for a red dye? And
well,
Zelda
we might have put it in there as a placeholder to be replaced later and just never did it.
Either way, but yeah, like what the first thing that came up was like an ingredient for like a recipe for in Zelda Breath of the Wild. And he just left it in there. And this guy's not a gamer. He didn't like choose to put this for now. Like, he doesn't know video games. He posted that on Twitter. So you have this super serious historical fiction novel, and like this goofy shit is in it. So like, to the author's credit, he responded to this on Twitter, and he was like, "Oh, geez, that sure is embarrassing." Like, fucking whoops. So,
just leave that shit in, man. Just own it.
Yeah, I know. I think he is. He's like, I'm just gonna eat this. And like, you know, he was a good sport about it. He posted like, so do I credit The Legend of Zelda in my book? Like do I do? Is there anyone...
At least he didn't try to pull the wool over people's eyes.
No, like he posted some other thing like can anybody tell me the ingredients for red dye? And there was some gif about like I'm so stupid or something like that. Now like he's being a really good sport about it. Sure. The only thing is some people are still getting mad about it because of the subject matter of the book. Like he wasn't writing a fantasy novel, and whoops, fucking Zelda in there. I hope nobody noticed. Like, he's not writing Game of Thrones.
Like I said, I think it was a placeholder so he could find out until he could find a real recipe, that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
he probably Googled, put the thing in, and then like didn't change it out or whatever.
Exactly.
But like the thing is, like, the gravity of what he's writing has this goofy shit in there, and he's like, LOL, whoops. Like, on one hand, I don't know how he would better react to this. Like, he's just biting the bullet on this one. But on the other, the fact that he's being like, aw shucks about something that's like in these like Holocaust novels is like but like it's still amusing to see, at least. Yeah. I mean, this guy has come under some fire before, but like, yeah.
This may like bring more attention to his book than
no, guaranteed. Like, people who follow Zelda are like, what is this I'm reading about right now?
At least it's
like,
in the news. The book's in the news now.
That's the thing. That's the thing. So, like, I mean, like, there's definitely a negative side to being like, LOL, whoops, about the kind of book he's writing. Like, this kind of mistake is in it, because that should not fucking happen. But at the same time, he's being a good sport about getting called out.
Sure.
So, you know, it is what it is. Like, this guy's been under... This guy's gotten some controversy before, but, like... So that's why people are probably getting a little mad about it now, but... Like, it was either this or, like, do, like, a formal, serious apology, which, depending on who you are, like, either one of those could have gone, like, would have been your method of your response of choice.
Like, oops.
Yeah, the super serious apology would have pleased some people more, but this version amused some people more. It was a mistake. He wasn't fucking around. He doesn't.
Oops, what am I gonna do? You know, like that.
Yeah,
kind of
like,
thing.
that's embarrassing. Yeah, and like, so he's kind of memeing himself. So like, all right, that's kind of funny.
Moving on from that, we talked about this last week, but because Analogue put out their like teaser for their pre-order, which happened over the weekend, happened this morning. I'm sorry.
At the time we're recording this morning.
Yeah, Monday. Yesterday by people's actual time clock. So, the Analogue Pocket sold out within 5 minutes, and lots of people were mad.
It's the old style limited run games thing all over again. Like, fuck, I was waiting for hours and I missed it. Like, well, it's gonna happen.
Not only that, but like, you know, their online system pay system isn't built for that kind of traffic, so like it was breaking for people who had already
I saw somebody post like it was calculating shipping for like 10 minutes and then it was gone.
Exactly.
Not only that, but what kind of bugs me though is that this is pre-order. This isn't order, it's pre-order.
They don't even have them
it's still
built
sold
yet.
out.
Yeah. So what makes people mad about this is like just like with like this happens with every like fan project, and eventually
like a high profile, much desired project.
Eventually, like this happened with the DC HDMI, like that kind of thing. Like eventually, all of these developers realize that this is not the way to do this. The way to do it.
I was actually going to mention the PSIO people did that too. Now it's more of a story.
Yeah,
because I was going to say like I got a PSIO by the old way, pre-ordering it. But it was on the second round.
Like a hawk. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. The first rounds you warned me about, I think I just slept through it, and I woke up, and it's like, it's over. And that's 100% my own fault, but I was so mad.
It's bullshit. You shouldn't... If you want to buy something, they should have enough for the people that want it. I mean, they should want your money.
Well, again, it's a pre-order. Like, you can't, like... If it's a pre-order, you can't, like, make it to order or something?
So, here's what, like... a lot of people are suspecting, you know, they don't want to like go above their means in a time of crisis, you know, in trying to manufacture and promising too many. But at the same time, what you should be doing is you should be loading up a queue for pre-orders, and just fulfill them as you can. Which is the way to go. You know, fulfill every one that's in line, but do it, and just keep people updated and have good communication. Those people will understand that this is coming from a small company, and that like. But if you keep them in the dark, you don't communicate well, and you do this crap to them constantly, they're going to start to rebel against you. So, like, only a very small fraction of the people that wanted this thing got through, and Analogue isn't very good at communicating, number one, and number two, these won't get fulfilled until next year, and this is just that small fraction of people that got it won't be fulfilled until next year.
You missed your one opportunity, and now you have to wait a year for the chance to miss the next opportunity.
Waiting for another year to even get a shot at it, which is ridiculous.
Like, people complain about limited run games all the time with the stuff getting sold out in like a minute, but like
it's way better now.
Number one, it's way better now. That's largely not even an issue anymore. But number two, even for the extremely like small chance of small window of opportunity, if you miss it, then you have 8 hours until the next chance, not a year.
So this is just plain. It just breeds like scalpers and bullshit, and this is going to be a high quality product that is going to be recommended. I already know it is because their track record in terms of quality has always been
do make good stuff.
Yeah. They charge a lot for it, and their communication is poor, but the end product is excellent, and it has been. But this is really at this point, maybe it used to work, but now that they've made a name for themselves and everybody has this stuff on their radar, a lot more.
It's the same with limited run games. They had to adapt once they became mainstream.
They should be a much bigger company than they used to with the success of the Mega SG and the Super NT. So and now the NT Mini has a much bigger following than it used to. So. They're not a small boutique company that makes a wood grain Neo Geos anymore, like they started out. This is a company that should be should be shipping these things to stores even. They should be shipping these to classic video game retailers, and having them on shelves. They should have extra, not a limited shit. Like you're gonna lose customers now. It's going to not work in your favor. The scarcity thing maybe made them some notoriety in the past, but eventually it's going to turn on them, and I think this is it.
Yeah, when you become a store like you can't really do the scarcity thing.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
That's
A
why with
little bit of
limited run
scarcity is
games.
okay. A little
Well,
bit.
that's the thing with limited run games. They're like collector's editions where we have exactly 1,000 of them. Standard editions are unlimited open pre-order. Like, all
Okay.
right.
So here's the way scarcity should work. 900 people want your thing, put out 1,000, and then eventually that 100 trickles out and finally gets sold, right? That's how that should be working, not like 8 million
Not
people want it
insufficient
and you only put out
supply.
1 million of them. That is not how this should be working.
Yeah.
You know, that they should have the capital to pop these out. You know what I mean? Like as well, you shouldn't need pre-order money in order to fund this at this point because they've had what 4 successful launches, like 3 successful launches.
Yeah,
Like
NT, Super NT, SG, and NT again.
yeah. I mean, this is bad, and I'm thankfully I don't care for myself this time around because I would be complaining on here. But
Well,
I
and same. I kind of care, but I'm not going to spend $300 on the thing that I
yeah
want.
yeah maybe they're trying to justify their high cost or whatever by having scarcity make up for it. But um, honestly, I think the Mister is the way to go if you have the patience for it because it has all of the a lot of the same stuff going for it. I'm not going to be one of those people that types that in for the people that want this. It's obvious why he would want this. It's easy to use, and it has some really great popular systems, and it's going to be a high quality build. So like I obviously understand why people want this. For some beloved systems, it's going to be a great platform. But everything surrounding it has just been botched. It sucks. In the same vein, so you were talking about your PSIO or SIO.
Yeah.
It is an optical drive emulator for the PS1. It is also one of the worst optical drive emulators out there, but it is the only one for the PS1. So people have kind of put up with it. But it is extremely buggy. It doesn't have really good compatibility, and even a lot of the games that you try, Lotus, on it crash on the damn thing.
I haven't had that's the thing. I don't like my PS1 is sometimes reset, but I don't know if that's because I'm playing with a 20-year-old system or if it's the PSIO.
No, I think
I've gotten
the
crashes.
PSIO.
I've gotten crashes for the original Japanese Kingsfield, but nothing else. I assumed the problem was that it was original Japanese Kingsfield.
No, it has poor compatibility. Number one, and you need to use very specific versions of game rips on it to get them to work. Even when you do, you need to have somebody solder something into your system in order to get it to work. It's not plug and play. Ordering
the
it is
soldering
a
thing is
fucking
another thing.
hassle and a half, and also they keep the firmware under lock and key, so you need to remember your serial number and your order number and all this bullshit in order to
Yeah,
just download
that was
a
irritating.
firmware update. Which is
I forgot
ridiculous.
about that. I completely forgot about that. I updated my firmware once, and I was looking on the forums for where it was. And it was like a secret.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But there is a new optical drive emulator in the works. It's been teased by a few notable people in the retro gaming community. Voltar and Bob from Retro RGB have mentioned it and shown pictures of it. There's the xStation, which is being teased right now. No feature list or who's even been making it hasn't been revealed, but if those people are behind it, you can bet that it is high quality and high compatibility.
You know what I think would be nice, though, is one weakness of the PSIO that the devs themselves acknowledged is that, it goes into that back port on your PS1. Because that's where it is, you can't do, like, a soft reset within the PSIO itself. You have to, like, press the reset button on your system, which, like, if you're using an upscaler device, you gotta, like, kill your picture and go back to the menu and launch in and everything. Like, it's kind of like a necessary evil, I think.
So I think the major, this one's going to be very similar to the Rhea or Phoebe for the or the mode for the Saturn or Dreamcast. What's the name of the other Dreamcast one? There is
GDEMU.
the GDEMU, and there's one other Dreamcast one.
Well, that was the Rivals, right? Because I think the GDEMU guy just made the GDEMU. He had two versions for the Saturn, though, the Rhea and the Phoebe.
Yeah, and then there's the USB GD-ROM, I think is the other one.
Is
right?
that the one? Like, is that the one you had?
Yeah, it's the one I have, which was the original.
Yeah.
So this is going to be more similar to those. It does not need the serial port in the back, therefore it's compatible with more PS1 systems. It is not compatible with the mini PS1, the PS1.
The PSONE, yeah.
Yeah, but it looks like it's compatible with everything else. That is the only thing that I know about it.
Because if it's easy, if it's easy to put in, like for the like the Rhea and the GDEMU, that'd be great. Because a PS1 is like $15-$20.
Yeah,
just go get it.
I'm thinking about depending on how expensive this is, and I don't think it will be all that bad. The Saio is pretty expensive, but I think it'll be cheaper than that. It looks like it's nice, it's high quality and efficient. I would just go out and buy a new PS1 system and install it myself. It looks like it's plug and play to me. Or
if that's the case, that'd be great. And again, if it does not go into the serial port, then that implies that there would be like a soft reset function.
Yeah, and not only that, but the PS Digital is coming out soon. The HDMI solution for PS1.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
So if I could get a brand new system with the souped up ODE. With everything that I want on it, that I want it to play, which is, admittedly a lot because there's even some PAL games that I want to play on this damn thing.
I want to play Hell Knight.
I want to play the Europe only version of Mickey Mania that was on the PlayStation 1. Believe it or not, it's the best version of Mickey Mania apparently. A Genesis game. It actually looks like a cartoon when you play it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not pixelated or anything. It just looks like an old Mickey cartoon. It's beautiful. But yeah, I'm excited for this era of PlayStation 1 hackery or whatever mods because the PS1 has needed it the most. Before this, I would have said that the Saturn needed it the most, but now that I have the ODE for it,
it's been treated
Saturn's
well.
perfect. Yeah, Saturn is perfect. It's in good shape. We also have the Rad 2X for it, which is a really good, line doubler for and HDMI converter for the system.
That's where I was going to go. I was going to say the one thing that system is missing.
It doesn't have an upscaler. It doesn't, but it has a line doubler, which will make it at least playable and not have a whole lot of lag through HDMI.
Sure.
It won't make it 1080p, but it'll at least get it to 480i, which is where it needs to be. 480i, which is where it needs to be. So, yeah, I mean the Saturn's in a decent place right now. It just needs an HDMI in-house
auto upscaling solution. How the
Dreamcast has right now. Yeah.
That is true. The Dreamcast has, and also the N64.
The N64 has a really good one. Even the NES has a really good one right now.
It's bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, the Super Nintendo doesn't, but you can get one of the FPGA systems. You can get a Super NT, and it's just as good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't have something like that for PlayStation 1. So I think there's a Rad 2X, but it's not everything you'd want. The HDMI is what you really what you want. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, I just wanted to go off into some show stuff. I know we're getting a little late, but I just want to cover a couple little things real quick. Ubisoft has made some deals lately with Netflix. They're putting out a Splinter Cell and a Beyond Good and Evil TV series. Before we get Beyond Good and Evil 2, getting a Beyond Good and Evil TV series.
We're never fucking getting it.
Well, I would be inclined to believe that if we were gonna get it, it would be along with the show.
I sure hope so.
I mean, that just makes sense, doesn't it? But yeah, the series that they don't believe in.
The one that people don't stop raving about. When are you gonna make 2?
Yeah, they are putting out the TV show for it. Also, I just wanted to throw this out here because I'm a big Bruce Campbell fan of Evil Dead fame. But and Burn Notice, he's actually more famous for Burn Notice, a show that I have never seen an episode of, but had lasted for a long time. Bruce Campbell announced that there was going to be a reunion for the actors on Briscoe County Jr., which was a syndicated show on Fox back in the day. It ran for 1 season, but 1 season back then was like 30 episodes, so it's like, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like an hour TV show, I think, too. So, like if you go back from that era and look up a season of X-Files, it's 24 episodes a season, and they're all an hour long. Like, it's not like it is now where you max get 12 maybe half hour or maybe 8 hour long episodes a season.
Wasn't Walking Dead season 1 like 6 episodes?
Yeah, a lot of stuff is like 6 or 8 episodes. Like, I'm watching Ozark right now. Each season's 8 episodes, or 10 episodes. So that's very normal. But lo and behold, you could go back to it. It was a really great steampunk. Had some sci-fi aspects to it too, but it was a Wild West show, but they incorporated sci-fi to it, which was unusual at the time. It was really fun, and it had humor in it, and Bruce Campbell-y, just like anything else, and it's really great to look back on and watch it. They did like a table read event on last Friday, so I just thought it was cool. Because they one season shows barely get recognized, but you have Firefly and Briscoe County Jr., and that's about it. That have some fan bases. Also, they finally put out a non-teaser trailer, like an actual story trailer for Fargo season 4, and I am all about it. It's Jason Schwartzman and Chris Rock. It looks amazing. I cannot wait. Also, the company Brook that makes all of the controller converters that are super well trusted by the fighting game community, and I've certainly bought a lot of their products in the past. They also make the fighting boards, the universal fighting boards. Like, if you have a joystick, you're going to want one of these things so you can play it on any system. They make fantastic products, and they are released an image and a survey regarding a GunCon replacement.
I actually responded to that.
So did I. It looks like they're really serious about putting this out. Usually their surveys are about a product that is nearly ready to launch. They just want to gauge the the final pricing points and all that stuff. So this is, I think they're trying to position it as a light gun that works for a lot of different things, not just the GunCon stuff.
Yeah, I would absolutely love it if I could use it for like Time Crisis 1 on PS3, stuff like that.
Yeah. GunCon 1, GunCon 2, and GunCon 3 games you could play on. You could play on HD
Well,
TVs.
GunCon 3 was what, like Time Crisis 4 and nothing else, or possibly Dreadstorm Pirates.
Yeah, Deadstorm Pirates and Blazing.
Raising Storm.
Yeah.
Time Crisis Raising Storm. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a huge light gun fan in general. I love light gun games, and I'm really sad that in the modern era they're incompatible with modern TVs. So something like this put out by a company that knows what they're doing. There are ones out there, but they're very finicky, and they're not super well recommended. But basically, this would work on kind of like a Wii sensor bar kind of esque system, but it would work for old games, and it would work the way you would want it to.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
I'm chomping at the bit, and I hope it's a good product. Also, one quick thing, I just wanted to throw this out there. to people that, especially in the shmup community, there is a YouTube channel called Studio Mudprints, run by a guy named Sir Flash, who puts out probably the best produced, well thought out shmup reviews, and he plays new ones, old ones, the whole bit, everything, and he's really good and really positive. He even did he's produced a lot of music for different games out there. Like, do you remember the game Ghostblade?
I remember the name, but like
it was one of those post-mortem Dreamcast games, you know.
Okay.
He did the soundtrack to that.
Nice.
He came down with a heart condition. He had a heart attack, and he needs. It seems like he needs surgery. So he put out a GoFundMe recently in order to raise funds for it, and he finally made his goal in under 2 days. So like a lot of people stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
I donated 25 Canadian dollars, a modest donation, just to help him out. But I recommend it if you you have a few bucks just to help him out, and even though he's already over his line, just to help donate to him, because he's a really cool guy. He's really nice. And he puts out really, really good content, and I just feel bad that he's hurt, you know. And our final announcement, this is a bummer. I know he's a kind of a meme-worthy guy outside of his actual self, but
and he's even embraced it too.
Rest in peace, Wilford Brimley.
He's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, in fact, he is an alumni of The Thing, just like recent death, Ennio Morricone. He did the soundtrack to The Thing. Unfortunately, he passed away. He's been in a lot of great movies and a lot of really cool stuff from the 80s and 90s especially, but The Thing is literally one of my favorite movies. It's probably in my top 3 movies of all time.
It's easily my top horror movie, or at least top 1 or 2 horror movies.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite movies are like I'll just rattle them off. 2001: Space Odyssey, Alien, The Thing, and Blade Runner. I don't think I have anything else that's up there with those. So those are my favorite movies of all time. Is those movies, and I've put the most time into analyzing them. And he was a big part of The Thing, so he played a good part in it, and obviously he was a character in one of our Let's Plays, Yelmer.
Kind of, yeah.
But
he was also in, speaking of being in a Let's Play, like when I explained something to you, I actually referenced the movie that he was in that I happen to have seen. That I don't know if you've seen it yet, but you hadn't seen it at the time. Remo Williams, The Journey Begins.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
With a name like that, you know it's got sequels, except it doesn't.
He was in Cocoon, which is was a popular movie in its day, playing an old man when he was only 45.
Yeah.
He was one of those people that looked like an old person.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't recognize like that it was him in The Thing, because he was without his mustache.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's just one of those people. It's like Angela Lansbury always looked like an old person, so, like...
Yeah, my mom showed me a clip of her, like, in her black and white eras, and she still looks like older than she was.
She looks like Angela Lansbury. She looks like Mrs. Potts. But, yeah, no, she always looked like Murder, She Wrote, like, that age. And she still does.
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, I mean, he had a good long life, 85, which is longer than I would ever think that Wilford Brimley would last.
And not only that, but, like, he's embraced the diabetes. There are 2 tweets of his that just are the best. One of them was, like, a post by somebody else that says, first thing that comes to mind when you see this pic, and it's, like, this closet that's absolutely full of candy, snacks, and Gatorade. And Wilford Brimley retweeted it and responded with, I'm getting a lot of folks tagging me in this. I am assuming because diabetes. I will cave in and acknowledge you. And the last tweet that he made, which is a good last tweet to make, by the way, is on July 29th, he had asked, what would my wrestler name be? And then he retweeted that on the 31st, which I think was like a day or 2 before he died.
Yeah, people are retweeting it even right now.
Yeah, and he said, popular choices included Underquaker, Brimstone, Kilford Brimley, the Diabestus.
Diabestus, yeah.
Which isn't
Spelled
even that
D-I-E.
far off. Yeah,
Yeah,
Diabestus. Which isn't even that far off of the Diabesti from Sharp Jam Gaiden. So, I mean, like, yeah, he's just embracing it. I'm fucking 85 and you guys are still talking about diabetes. You know what? Fine. Let's go. Let's do it. Like, yeah, that's really cool of him. He's like a cool guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably one of those people that just, like, enjoyed any fun that, like, people threw his way,
Yeah.
for sure.
I just can't get over that. Like, you're thinking diabetes from 20 years ago? Fine. I will cave in and acknowledge you. Like, the way you phrases that, it's too good.
And the thing is, like, probably the last 10 years or so, like, big fans of 80s and 90s movies, you know, which have been made popular by the internet, like, have really embraced him as, like, an icon for that era of movies.
He's one of
really
those guys
him.
that, like, he while he has a distinctive face, he's also still kind of an actor that you're like, oh, he was in that too? Like,
yeah. He was never a main character. He was never, like, the leading guy, but he was always off on the side.
Like,
he's a character actor.
Probably as prominent as he got might have been the thing. Like he was a secondary character.
He's almost you can even label him as an antagonist in that, like,
borderline, but yeah, he's in there.
He's certainly the focus.
He's certainly an antagonist. He becomes the guy, like, I don't know if I should trust this guy.
Yeah, no,
I really love that scene where they locked him up in the isolation area outside.
Yeah.
And it's just like, could you let me back in now? I was angry earlier, but I'm better. I'm fine now, and I would like to come back in if I could. And you're like, do I trust this guy? I don't know. It was really good.
Trust no one in the thing.
No kidding. Well, that was the beauty of it. Even Kurt Russell, like, the viewers aren't 100% on this one.
You're not 100% about anything by the end of the movie.
That's the beauty of it, because the characters don't know who the thing is or who the things are. But a lot of times in the movie, you're like, Jason's standing behind you, run away. But in this, even the viewers, like, I don't know who to trust. Like, the first time you're watching this movie, it's great.
Yeah, it was just a really great movie. If anybody, it's one of the most tense movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
It has the best, I'm going to go ahead and say, the best practical effects of any movie ever.
They're way up there.
It's up there with 2001 Space Odyssey, and it's way more action-packed.
I also want to give a shout-out to the entire thing was like 30 seconds or less, but the transformation sequence in An American Werewolf in London...
That too. That's up there.
It was like that movie's not a big practical effect movie, but that one part just kills.
In fact, the guy who did that was famous for doing werewolf transformations, and they just got better over time. There's one movie called, I think, The Howling after that.
Yeah.
Apparently, the transformation sequence in that is even better. Like, he added, like, one more flourish to it, you know,
That's
that
nuts.
kind of thing. But, like, he would do those... The werewolf effects for, like, he did them for like 5 movies or something, and then just got better at doing it.
We've come a long way from taking photographs over time and layers of makeup for Lon Chaney Jr.
I mean, that looked cool back in the day. I mean, like,
back in the day it looked awesome, but like when you look at it now,
cheesy.
it's like, okay, well.
I mean, like, with what they had, that was genius.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Yeah.
It's like comparing like King Kong and then to Mighty Joe Young, which is like the same people, but like it was like way better in Mighty Joe Young. But like nobody acknowledges that movie because it came out like a lot later than.
Although I have
King
to admit
Kong.
though, King Kong versus the T-Rex still looks good.
It's still awesome. I mean, King Kong is not a boring movie, the original.
That movie surprisingly holds up with, like, I remember James Rolfe mentioned this because I haven't seen the movie in like over a decade, but there's like just this callous racist attitude towards like the natives of the island, but like other than that, like the movie holds up pretty well.
Yeah, it's an even earlier movie than most of the old movies you'd be watching. Like,
it's from like what, the late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, the 30s. So like, most of the movies, like the black and white movies that we still watch today, are from the 40s and the 50s, which are way more technologically advanced than the most of the ones in the 30s and 40s. Early 40s.
The only 30s stuff I think still holds up is like Marx Brothers stuff. Dracula, yeah.
Frankenstein.
Well, the old Universal movies, but I think Marx Brothers might have been 30s as well.
Yeah, but like the early talkie stuff, almost none of it holds up as nearly as well as that stuff. The early talkie stuff, most of it is like, hey, we could talk. You know,
well, that was the thing. I mean, they made movies based on that concept.
Yeah,
like I forgot. Like my mom watches that kind of stuff. I forgot what the name of the movie, but like the whole premise was like silent actors learning to do talking, so they were being very theatrical when they don't need to be anymore because we can hear them. They're not talking to the mic because the concept of a microphone didn't exist before because it didn't need to. So it's like, no, aim your face over there. And they're like, why? Like little things like that.
You also have like some silent stars that like made good transitions. Like Charlie Chaplin was still really good in the the talkie era. Like when he did the Great Dictator, that's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, with his amazing speech at the end.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, we're long in the tooth here. Yes. I mean, we had so much to talk about this episode, but we got to wrap things up. That's the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for a sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness. We will be doing a third part of our Castlevania review. And finally, you can find me, and that's the series, Castlevania. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
You can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prints. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prints. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting involved in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/lotusprints.
All right, everybody. We'll catch everybody on Thursday as usual.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.